Fam. Welcome back. Today I'm reviewing episode 6 of Real Housewives of New Jersey. This may be a quick review. I feel like it was like a lot of filler scenes in this episode, but yeah, let's get into it. So we start with Teresa in therapy. Louis has recommended therapy to her to get her emotions under control. I think they've been working. Teresa has been handling herself very well lately. So she starts venting about the Joe and Melissa situation, and basically she said that the cousins' relationship is affected. You know, like Melania attends Antonia's events, but Antonia doesn't attend Melania's events, which is completely contradictory to everything that I said last week. Because when they had the scene with Melissa and Antonia said it like, you know, they still keep in touch. Their relationship hasn't been affected. But that's not what Teresa said. So I know Melissa don't got her daughter out here lying. Because I thought the cousins' relationship wasn't affected at all. That's what they said last week. Her therapist suggests that she move on from the situation. If your therapist is telling you to move on, she's not telling you to talk it out and try one more time and be the bigger person. She's telling you to move on. That's how you know it's time to move on. So then we move on to Jennifer and Bill, and they're going back and forth between Fessler and Margaret and Jennifer and Bill. And Jen straight up tell him, look, I don't want you talking to Margaret. I don't want you being nice to her. She called me a disheveled drug addict the other day. So she starts telling him about the event and how her and Margaret got into it really bad. And then they flip to Fessler and Marge. And I guess in the midst of this, Aiden has texted Fessler and apologized for yelling at her house, because y'all know Fessler was doing the most. So she apologized for that, and then she still threw some little slick comments in there about Margaret. Fessler read that out loud to Margaret, and then she actually checked Margaret. So next is Dolores, Paulie, and her dad. And Dolores' dad is so sweet. He bought his own bottle of Coke over her house so he wouldn't drink up all her soda. That was so sweet. But they're talking about Paulie because he has a heart surgery coming up. Oh my goodness. Yeah, Dolores and her dad, they, go to the side, or they go outside and take a walk or whatever. And they start talking about Paulie. And Dolores' dad seems to really like Paulie, which is good. Everybody likes Paulie, except Frank. Then next, Rachel, Melissa, and Frank's new girlfriend, I don't know her name. They all go out with their men. Frank is venting about how the family dynamic is so different now. Yeah, that's what happens when you get a divorce. This should have happened years ago. But unfortunately, Dolores is just finding her a real man. So Frank keeps talking about this family dynamic, and the family dynamic is so different, and I need to be there for my family. And that boy is grown. Their kid is grown. Frank Jr. is grown. You don't need to still be around. Y'all can go have dinner, catch some baseball games, or whatever sports y'all are into. Like, you don't have to be at Dolores' house to be spending time with your family. He's pretty much not used to Dolores dating a man, a real man. Like Joe said, David barely really had time for her, so Frank was still able to be there and be the man of the house. But now Dolores is dating a real man, and she doesn't need you, and he cannot take it. He's finally understanding what this divorce is supposed to be like. And unfortunately, she has enabled him for so long. And, they've had this unhealthy, codependent relationship. But it's about time they start acting divorced. And, the girlfriend, she seemed to be, putting on a good face. And he said he's discussed this with her. And he told her how much feelings he has for Dolores and all of this. But I know deep down, she's not okay with that. She don't want to keep hearing about Dolores. There is no way that she thinks this man actually has feelings for her when he can't stop talking about his ex-wife from how many years ago and is still weirdly connected to her exes. There's no way she thinks she has a real chance. So then they started talking, Melissa really starts talking about Teresa and how she's being fake with Marge and how she really doesn't like her and blah, blah, blah. And Rachel's throwing her 2 cents in. She thinks the other side is trying to influence her thoughts, which she may be right about, but so is Teresa and Marge. Like, everybody's trying to campaign you on their side, girl. Like, I'm so sick of Rachel making excuses as to why she don't want to be friends with them. Just say you picked your side. You came in being loyal to Frank, which means you're loyal to Dolores, which means you're loyal to Marge's alliance. Like, just be real. Stop coming up with all these weird excuses. So it's time for the charity baseball game, and Danielle and Margaret have a little chat before the game. And Danielle is kind of telling her everything that Teresa said. And Teresa pretty much said Margaret is a better friend than an enemy. That actually sounds like a compliment, so I don't know why she got upset about that. You should want people to prefer you to be their friend versus their enemy. If people would prefer you to be their enemy over their friend, that means you're not that good of a friend. At this point, Danielle is starting to see how evil Margaret is, and she really doesn't like her. She's trying to get to know her, but she sees how evil this lady is, and she really is. So Jennifer Aiden arrives, pays Margaret dust. Margaret starts picking, of course, because she's evil. So Rachel and Jennifer Aiden have a little one-on-one, and Rachel tells her about the conversation she had with her daughter Olivia. And Olivia basically now wants to be a therapist because she done heard Jennifer and Bill going at it so much. It's just super sad. I don't think the parents think all the time about how the kids are going to be affected by things. Look at the Teresa and Joe mess. Look how it's affected the cousins' relationships. Look at how Jen and Bill are arguing, and now their child and changed her whole career path. So then we move on to Frank and Dolores. He starts confronting Dolores in front of everybody about how much he misses her, and he be crying, and he want to be there for his family. And then Melissa wanted to cry, and then Joe wanted to cry. Like, y'all just let Dolores move on. I'm tired for her at this point. She is probably like, that Frank is none of my concern. Move away from me with this, Apollo. I get that this is hard for Frank because they never had any boundaries before Paulie came along, but like, come on. So we end with Jennifer and Bill going to therapy. I guess they decided to talk to somebody after Rachel told Jennifer what Olivia said. They get to the therapy session. Bill immediately looks uncomfortable. He looks like he's shutting down. Jennifer said communication isn't his thing, so he does not believe communication is the key to relationships. Actually, he thinks the key to relationships is no communication. So the session starts, and Jennifer starts talking, and he is just dead silent. He's just letting her go on. So when he finally opens up, he talks about how he feels like the bad guy or the disciplinarian because Jennifer is more laid back and he's more of like the authoritative figure. And that's usually how it is in two-parent households. Usually the mother is seen as like the nurturer and the one who takes care of the ins and outs of the child's life. And then the father is more of the one who goes to work and brings the money home. And, he's usually at work all day, so he really doesn't have time, but the mother has more time. That's typically how it goes with the traditional household. I grew up in a traditional household growing up, so that's both of my parents worked, but my mom was definitely more of the nurturing parent. I think I talked about this before, actually. I used to have all types of events, like sporting events, spelling bees, academic programs, stuff like that. She used to be the one to go to all of that stuff. My dad was always the one at work, and he would come home, and we just knew like when we needed money or something like that, we knew to ask our dad for money. So I think that's more of like a traditional thing. And then Bill just seems like he lacks emotions. So when you add all of that, how a traditional household is run, based on the fact that you probably aren't around your kids as much as Jennifer is, and on top of that, you aren't as emotional with them as she is. That's just how it plays out. I do understand what he's saying. Like I said, I think that's just the thing with traditional households. But I feel like that probably would have more to do with his lack of emotions versus Jennifer being a laid-back parent. If you was laying down the rules and you took time out to play with them and, care about their days and talk to them, I don't think they would just see you as like this disciplinarian. And then Jen starts talking about how she doesn't feel supported as a wife. She feels more like his employer. And she's getting fed up. She doesn't feel appreciated. She feels lonely. And then to add on top of all of that, y'all know she also feels like he doesn't have her back when it comes to the ladies. So she got to go around all these ladies and fight with them while Bill chatting it up and being friendly to them. And then she has to come home and do everything for the kids. So I kind of see both sides. There just has to be some sort of compromise. So we kind of end there with the therapy session. Why are we always ending with Jennifer Aiden? She must truly be the queen. Next week we go to the Jersey Shore, and next week is gonna be good. Marge is gonna confront Teresa on what she said. It seems like Marge's alliance is kind of turning against Danielle. Like next week, she's gonna be the next target. Jackie picking again, talking trash about Danielle again. So Danielle gonna have to gather her again. So yeah, it seems like Danielle is gonna be the target next week, and everyone is asking about this brother situation thing. Like I said, I am not interested unless her brother is coming on the show. Of course, she's not telling us everything. I'm not interested unless we gonna hear from both of them. We also see Bill get drunk next week, so that should be interesting. So yeah, it was a lot of filler scenes this episode, but it was still interesting. I enjoy Jersey so much better when it's not about Melissa, Teresa, and Joe. Even if we don't get a lot of drama and a lot of arguments, I think their personal stories are interesting enough. But yeah, those are my thoughts on this episode. Y'all let me know what y'all thought in the comment section down below. Stay happy, healthy, and all of that good stuff. And I will see y'all in my next video. Bye.